Does where you live affect how you live? Well, it affected the Haudenosaunee and Algonquans. Their lands, foods, and bodies of water were all different. Let's take a look. The Haudenosaunee lives were affected by the Catskill Mountains. The Catskill Mountains were good for hunting deer and other wild animals. As you see here, they look like hills and are tree-covered. Just like the Catskill Mountains, the Adirondack Mountains look a bit like hills and are tree-covered as well. The Adirondack Mountains were good for hunting deer and other wild animals. Plains were good for farming and planting crops. Now, let's talk about our friends, the Algonquans. They were affected by landforms too. They lived close to some mountains, which restricted some of their travel. However, the mountains had animals such as coyote, deer, and other wild animals to hunt. The mountains also could slow down tornadoes. Most Algonquin tribes lived in Long Island, which, as you may have guessed already, is an island. Long Island is surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, which had an abundance of fish. They also had a few plains which were helpful to grow crops and build houses on. Not only landforms affected the Haudenosaunee, but bodies of water affected them as well. Mohawk River was a good source of trade, and Haudenosaunee could travel to other villages. Lake Ontario was a good means of fresh water and fish for the Haudenosaunee. The Finger Lakes were also good for fresh water. The Algonquins' lives were affected by bodies of water too. The Atlantic Ocean was a good source of fish. The Hudson River was also good for fish. Lake Ontario was a good source of fresh water and fish, not just for the Algonquins, but for the Haudenosaunee too. Since they didn't really get along, they probably didn't like sharing a lake with each other. The Haudenosaunee used a lot of natural resources to make life easier. For example, they used what they had from farming. The most used foods were corn, beans, and squash, and were referred to as the Three Sisters. They made their houses out of elm, cedar, and oak wood and bark. They were usually called longhouses. They made clothes such as moccasins out of deerskin. The Algonquins also made life easier in different ways. They made dome-shaped houses out of bark and sapling trees. They used what they had planted in the plains for food. They gathered as many wild nuts and berries as they could find. So, as you see, there are many different lifestyles from then and now. Thanks for watching. Bye!